Hello and welcome to Harmonious Seminary. My name is Alethea Thompson and I will be guiding you through this lecture. When people think about the Force, they tend to think strictly to the films. But since the inception of the Jedi community in the mid-1990s, students of the Force realist community have come to understand that the Force was more than something in a movie franchise. With the help of Bill Moyer's interview with George Lucas, it became apparent that the Force was a loosely adapted term to explain something which all cultures agree exists, but disagree on exactly what it is. As such, a Jedi dedicates themselves to understanding of all things within and through the Force. As a rule, no Jedi can set down in law a concrete definition of the Force for all to follow, only for themselves. This take on the Force allows the Jedi path to be flexible, making it a lot easier for people with a religion of their own to decide whether or not they wish to take on the hero's journey, spoken of by comparative theologist Joseph Campbell. In fact, the idea that there is an ineffable concept across multiple belief systems sprang up from Joseph Campbell's work.
To give you an idea of just how simple it is to fit this definition into other systems, here's a collection of words associated with existing religions or systems of belief. In the scientific community, the Force could be seen as energy. If we go back to the movies, you hear this quote, this vague quote, about how the Force is in and around all life and that it is what creates it and what is created by it. When you look at energy in the scientific sense, it is the basis for all things. It is an impartial and unquantifiable concept. Science can show the results of energy, but we have never been able to actually show the energy itself. Ash. Ash is the Yoruba term for the energy which encompasses all things, living, dead, animate, inanimate. At the beginning of creation, everything was empowered with Ash. It is through this empowerment that Olorun, the god of the Yoruba, is able to monitor everything within the infinite cosmos. It binds everything together. It is because of Ash that Olorun is able to split himself up so as to provide mediators called Orishas between humans and himself. Then, through Ash, these Orishas are able to keep the cosmos operating smoothly. Teal'c. Teal'c is a supernatural energy source which acts as a supercomputer for the cosmos. It is present in every little detail that exists, and it continues to create and mandate the universe. In accordance with Aztec belief, Teal'c cannot be exhausted by any single existing thing. It is a constant circle of life, which holds no concept of what is good or evil. For pagans, magic usually refers to the practice of rituals and spells. However, if you really get into the pagan community, you'll learn that it's a lot more than just that. It also describes an energy force that is constantly around us. In some traditions, it can be more concentrated in select objects than others. Then we have Abrahamic traditions. And this is probably where it gets the most misunderstood between different Christian Jedi that you'll encounter. Some equate it to God or the Holy Spirit, while others, such as myself, believe it was spoken of in the Bible but not specifically named. For those that are less likely to believe that the idea is even present in Abrahamic traditions, I challenge you to look at the story of Moses and Aaron facing off against the Pharaoh during the 10 plagues, or even the parting of the Red Sea. If one believes that these events are real history and not something out of myth or something that can be scientifically explained, such as a land bridge forming, then it's not much further of a leap to believe that something like the Force exists in the world.
Now, for those of you scratching your heads at this slide, the interpretation of the Force varies so widely that you can believe the value of the Force is metaphoric in nature. That is, it's not a real thing. This idea stems from a belief that the Force, throughout history in its various incarnations, was actually meant to help people of a tribe or a pantheon understand how they interconnected with one another. Still, there are people in the community who study the Force in its metaphysical concepts. They study spell work or energy work or prayer, just depending on what their focus is in their primary religious study, be it Christian, Wiccan, Jewish, Buddhist, Native American, Hindu, or otherwise. Then you have those that believe that there is a scientific explanation for all the metaphysical occurrences spoken of in mystical traditions. Sometimes they are not understood even by the practitioner themselves, and other times the setup is meant to simply invoke a powerful feeling of placebo for psychological health. To give you an idea or an example, this was illustrated in an episode of a popular police drama called Bones. In Bot in the Pod, Dr. Brennan tells a story of a witch doctor in El Salvador that made a purification ritual built on pouring cow's blood into the ground and then bringing it out during a ritual through the fire heating the ground. In the scientific understanding, the metaphysical philosophy is no less powerful than the metaphoric understanding or the metaphysical. It's simply a difference in application of study and usage. On the surface, the concept of understanding the Force may not seem at all worthwhile. However, if you look through the ages, a lot of people were able to enrich their lives and those around them by dedicating their life to the study of this ineffable force. The Hebrews of old found that placing their faith in something higher than themselves allowed them the courage to go forward in whatever action they believed would aid them in the survival of their society. And later, this ideology would spread through the world in a new interpretation given to us by Jesus of Nazareth. The Hindus, likewise, found that celebrating various aspects of life through the myths and legends of their ancestors gave rise to a life that could be inspiring in everything. This belief that all things are sacred and created by a divine spark made life worth living. Meditation on what the Force is and how it interacts with life gives us an idea of how to move forward interactions with each other, and can help us better understand why living the hero's journey is so important. At some point, we reach a plateau where we think we understand the world. We might look into concepts like The Secret and believe this is how the world works. And that's when problems begin to emerge. The moment you stop challenging what you believe and simply believe with the crowd. A Jedi must remain flexible in their views of the Force and discover whether or not their worldview needs adjustment, expansion, or even just rejecting old ideas that no longer hold water. Practitioners of mysticism can easily get lost in their mysticism. A Jedi should always strive to determine what practices are useful to helping people in the real world and which ones are detrimental. Astral travel, for example, can be a fabulous tool for learning how to deal with problems in our everyday life. But a lot of people that deal with that world become engulfed in it, trading in the physical realm for the astral realm. In this, it is important that you learn to research the truth behind these practices so that you do not fall victim to things that seem like trendy force powers. Another distressing point is that getting the right information about a spiritual practice can be difficult. Sometimes you find people that claim great knowledge in the study of a particular metaphysical field. Modern books, in a time when there's no need for peer review and a publisher will simply latch on to whatever they believe will sell, tend to be half-studied by the author. And even at that, honestly, let's face it, believing that you can learn everything from a book is folly. Not only is experience the best teacher, but you have to find people that understand the art and dedicate themselves to it if you want to advance into areas such as energy healing or shamanic training. To us, to the Jedi, Our primary duty is kind of outlined in a book by Matthew Stover called Shattered Point. Our duty is to protect civilization because civilization creates peace. As such, the metaphysical aspects of the Force may not have any relevance in your exploration, but rather you may find that it's more advantageous of you to explore mundane aspects, such as developing empathic talents to communicate better with others. It is wonderful to have a belief that telekinesis may be possible, but studying telekinesis and living for the possibility it might be obtainable when you can be impacting the world around you simply detracts from both life and the purpose of a Jedi. It is because there is value in meditation and the exploration using meditation as a method to focus on the world around us that the prowess, spiritual art, and the Jedi compass specifies this is all that's necessary for a Jedi to cultivate. Furthermore, it is the cornerstone of all spiritual practices, as meditation can help you better tap into your thoughts and how you wish to make request of the divine. At this point, you may be thinking, why does the Force matter at all? A Jedi's study of the Force is for all to profit from, not just you. When a tree produces apples and they are ripe for the picking, it gives nourishment to those that choose to eat from the tree. Just the same, a spiritual connection to the Force will help you give back to others as the apple tree can give to the people which interact with it. Therefore, your relationship with the Force, or at least the idea of the Force, can help you determine a great deal of how to navigate the world around you. In this class, you will be given tools to help you better define the Force for yourself. Later on, if you take the course, The Jedi Code, A Jedi's True Ally, you will hopefully discover what the real value of the Force is to you as a Jedi. Thank you for joining me, and may the Force light your path.